Hey, today I'm going to take you behind the scenes of the making of the Cthulhu out of clay, not digital. I'm in James Bonner's studio. We're going to go talk to him. Let's go. Hey, today I'm not in my shop. I'm in James Bonner's studio. This is amazing. So, James Bonner, very talented artist. He worked with my buddy Clint Carney, who you would probably know from my Star Wars film. He does a lot of visual effects. So James, he does creatures, but what's amazing about James is he makes them out of clay, where a lot of people now do like ZBrush. So he's like a connection to traditional monster making. So we're in his studio. This is the first maquette where we kind of figured out what our Cthulhu is gonna look like. And then we're gonna kick it over to James and he's gonna take us throughout the whole process of starting from this maquette to the final Cthulhu, which is pretty amazing. And it's just important for me to share this with you guys because I want you to know this thing is made out of clay. I think the final sculpture you'll see in the video is something like 50 pounds. So it's pretty spectacular. So let's get into that process.
Hi there, James Bonner. I'm Anthony's monster guy. We were debating whether I'm the computer guy or the sculpture guy. I think I'm both, trying to come up with a hybrid way of doing this stuff.
The sculpt where we're at, the bodies were moving into the secondary and the finer details, and the head is still rough and still blocked out. When I started going into different faces, ideally, we could have almost done separate head sculptures and shopped that way, but we're doing it here where we're just gonna hack at it and move it around until it works. And the first one I did, I just played with basically sort of like a different set of eyes for each. Some of them are faces upside down. It's like different false noses, and it wasn't unified, but that was the first pass, and that's when I realized, like you said, it's like a mask. We actually could use it like a mask. So that was number one. And then number two, I was trying to match this is a nice elusive maquette. It's evocative but not specific, so you actually I kept getting a bunch of versions out of the same maquette, but this is the one that was on when you came in, was number two, which was just trying to get that. The last one I did was that same sort of thing, except really non-facey, and if they're glowing red, they don't have to be positive, or they can be crevices that glow red as well. So I just cut holes when you come in today as opposed to later. I just do a quickie, but that's like something really non-anthropomorphic and, you know, interdimensional and geometric or whatever, but also playing more with the eyes on the side of the head and different. It tends to, I think it works with a little sort of bulge lower in the face.
All right, so this is amazing. So this feels weird, but apparently
that's what it's for.
James is telling me this is how it's done.
Yep, this is the that phase in.
So what I'm feeling is that because off of James's original sculpt, we added things, and then now it just feels like it's not a unified
right
thing.
Oh, nice.
So,
yeah,
so I'm feeling like. God. So if this,
nice.
It's almost like Hellboy.
Yeah.
with the
sawed-off horns.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could wind up changing the position of the eyes as well, because they were always working relative to the horns, which don't belong. I just put them on.
Yeah. This is just a kit bashing thing for me, because it's like when you're putting two things together, it's like add something that.
Yeah, runs across them.
And this is kind of gives you back your horns, maybe, but not horns.
Right. Nice.
The thing I'm wondering about looking at this is, did you want this, like you said, headdress, edge of hat, and I'll put it back the way it was, but I want to see what that looks like, smooth.
Well, I think
that way, or did you want,
or just making that top brow more chromag?
Make that one, yeah. And now we also have the option.
Right. So if that top brow was more.
These could be higher. This could all be higher as well. This was all referenced off of the off of the horns that are gone. So, like when you talk about unifying, I want to get what we have unified with what you've added.
But it's like, I like them hanging down his chest.
Yeah, and then with what you're talking about with the tentacles writhing, if we've got these sort of indeterminate length tentacles, they can be as long as we need them to be wherever we want on the body. So yeah, that seemed like a way to do that. And I'll probably do those in the computer because they can't match. We're going to need them to look different than each other.
Right.
I like the changes we've made. It's got a much more powerful race car kind of silhouette, and the emotional thrust into the brows. This is perfect as far as this is exactly what I was looking for before we got too far in, before we decided about any of the textures to get your, because it's a character, and I tend to operate like it's a character, not a creature or a design, which is why there were so many different, these are all different, this is my equivalent of acting, is different takes on the character, different intention in the eyes. And so to run all that through the Anthony filter, and to get a nice specific direction, it's perfect. It's exactly what I was looking for. And to get a buy-off on the rest of this, so I can start. I can start finishing the body and start refining the head now that I've got the notes. So next time we get together, there'll be a more refined version of what we changed today. So where we're at now, we adjusted. We decided that we're gonna scan these separately, so I'm going to be able to cut the head off, and that allowed us to look at the tentacles in a different way instead of in that pose that we had last time. But we've got a body that we're happy with, and I would actually wound up playing with and making a bunch of texture stamps. I made couple days making these to save weeks on the project, and just finding interesting things to get. Like this is actually fruit that was in the oven too long and got all compressed and wrinkly. Makes this great sort of wrinkle texture, and this is like off the tape that you put on a skateboard or whatever. There's this grainy stuff that I made into all these little stamps. So we're happy with the body. We've adjusted tentacle length. Give Anthony a chance to sign in on that, and it'll all be scalable too once we get into the shot. And we did an eye doctor appointment. You like 1 or 2 or A or B, and so I did a totally different approach to each side, where this is more organized and Giger-esque and elegant, and then on the other side I did something more like we got a traditional octopus that has the wrinkly, crumply sort of textures, and then this texture is based on this old dry fish bone that I don't know why. I probably had it for this exact reason. So we did a big shopping around for the director, so I could get a sense of what, because like I said, I'm used to having stuff in my own head, so to extract stuff out of your head, it really helps me to, like I say, chaotic in natural world or elegant and otherworldly.
The thing that I like best about that one,
I like that
is that's the one where I kind of see all the eyes as one eye.
One unit, right.
Whereas the other
ones,
like I see the top set as the eyes, and then the other. Now, what would it be, since we have multiple eyes, would it be interesting to have corresponding, like, 2 more nostrils? Like,
look at it. Is this thing there?
Yeah, like for each set of eyes.
I wonder that might wind up being too many with 8, but we can certainly put.
Or maybe not nostrils, but maybe just whatever, like that, like the Geiger kind of thing. You know what I mean? Where it's like on the side of the nose and the mask, how it's like dip, something
that just gives we can.
Yeah.
It will, and once we pick the face, then we can work on variations within that face.
I felt strong much stronger about this face than the other ones.
And this is one, yeah. Well, when we first put this one up, you said if I was bold enough, this is the one I'd pick.
Yeah, but it didn't have eyes.
Right. But that's a compliment, though. That would be the one that you're afraid to pick is the right one.
Yeah.
You know. So after today, I'll be able to cut the head off and look at that as a separate sculpture, and have this other stuff off the list, and be able to just concentrate on the character of our main character. The tech is that read or not, but the texture stamps is a texture of an old leather glove that I got that just works perfect for these old leathery wings, and it just solved a dozen questions at once. So these are just about ready to be finished up. The texture makes it go quick once you find the right texture. And check it, see how it looks somewhat obliquely looking across, like looking across the surface. Yeah, it still checks out. Because if it's the light, that's the look in the other video is the light raking, bouncing off the surface. Yeah, well, we'll wind up with a small slice of it. And no matter what, this is gonna end up, we're gonna go, it should have been some other shape or size, but had to pick something. Yeah, and there's a lot of textures off of, taking molds off of concrete bricks and stuff to get this nice pebbly texture that you can't tell if it's skin or if it's the surface of a asteroid or a moon or something. So that's where we stand now on the Cthulhu design. So this is a big day in Cthulhu land because Anthony approved the sculptures. We got finalized out on this. Played with the textures, had to try to give it a big scale and try to get something that was surpass what you could get if you sculpted it in the computer. I wanted to really try to make it look big, so there was a lot of time went into getting the textures and all that, and our previous tests scanning the belly surface worked really well, so I should be able to get all this detail into the computer version. I'm happy with it. Anthony's happy with it. We have the body. I altered the body a little bit to try to tie the textures from the face down into the body, and from the whatever they are on the side, the gills, into the neck. So the head will fit right on top of there, and we'll have a second set of tentacles that will clone off of these first set that will come down here. So we'll have a complete set, hopefully more different than other people's Cthulhu's, is the hope. And then we have the wings, which we did a lot of work with. We've got texture stamps off of old pair of leather gloves that I used to make this old wrinkly texture, and Anthony was happy with that as well. Tools and techniques that I've used individually, I combined for this, and this is, I'm using a different sort of a clay, so I can give you a little, I've never used this much before, but actually using this torch to kind of melt, so you kind of lay the detail in really rough, and then you can kind of melt and soften the edges with this, and that allowed me to get these really nice, sharp lines that you can then soften up, and it gave me a really nice look that I had not achieved before. So, yeah, I'm very happy with the look of this. So our next steps are going to be doing the paint, sealing them, spray them, seal them so the clay's not sticky, and then doing a paint job that again tries to keep that scale. And larger animals aren't as colorful, so it'll be a muted, underwater, mucky kind of paint job that'll work really well to bring out all the texture. So yeah, I'm really excited to move it to the next level, and I'm glad Anthony got to see it before the shoot. Okay, so here we have the finished painted, called Sculpt to Scan model. There's no mold. We just take the clay and seal the clay and give it whatever paint job is appropriate. And Anthony wanted the white eyes, but what I did is I gave him the red. That way I found that you can't add color to something that's got no color, so I start with the red. That way, if we can turn it way down, but if we want, it'll give it a little bit of character, hopefully, and switch it to whatever color we want. And you can see a lot of the texture stamp work that we were experimenting with, which I really enjoyed on this one, and gave it the elephant kind of thing. And what's nice about the working this way is this paint job is only a start point. Once it goes into the computer, you can move the colors around, because you'll a whole other level to adjust it with, but all of the paintbrush marks, all of the character of using, and not even using an airbrush. This is all using brushes and washes and paper towels, and that gives it all, I think it gives it a lot more character and gives you a leg up going into the computer, and it's less of an uphill battle to make something look real and dimensional and like it's actually made of something real. So this take hundreds of photographs cycling around all of this, and we didn't have to finish the back, that was great. And then that will get scanned and become a messy scan in the computer that will then get cleaned up into an animatable mesh. Then the fun starts. Then it gets to come to life after all of these other steps to see it actually move around. Always winds up being very exciting. So now here we are in the computer. All of the work that we did in the real world, where it can finally show off. We got the head, the body. We got the wings, and I sculpted those flat, and I was able to mirror it for the inside and the outside. And you can see that it doesn't have a lot of detail, and this is what we have. Anthony gave us a great performance reference, and so we worked out all of that with the smooth model and got all of that sorted out. We have the detail turned off so that it'll play back faster and it's more manageable when I'm actually doing the animation. And then when it's time to figure out the final look, we can switch over to the detailed look. And yeah, you can see it runs a little slower, but all of the lighting and other layers, so we can try different things out. And Anthony went for a really cool metallic finish on like the shoulders and all that, so we took a while playing with that. All those test frames I sent you. So obviously there's other ways to do this, and most other people are sculpting the thing in the computer and painting it in the computer, and I'm certainly trying to do things slightly different, and it's actually more work this way in a lot of ways, but I feel really dedicated to trying to not like being in love with the old way of doing it, but just finding ways to take what was good about the old way and to bring what we can into the modern age. I didn't have to spend any money on the motors or anything that would make this move, and I can also do things like put the imaginary motors on the outside, whereas if it was a physical puppet, it would cost way more and you'd have to hide everything inside it. So for me, it's more of just a best of both worlds kind of way of doing it. There's so many people that are such talented sculptors in ZBrush that I'd love to see what they did with clay, and love to see what they're trying to do it this way, because you can get a lot of character in it that's really hard to fake that character just working exclusively on the computer.
I mean, what? This is amazing. I'm so fortunate that James joined our team and worked on this with us, and hopefully I'll be working with him more in the future. It's just, you know, I oftentimes, you know, talk about low budget, no budget, but I mean, this was, you know, this elevated everything to like another level, and it was definitely worth it. And I'm just so happy we did this. And then, you know, during this process, we talk a lot about Guillermo del Toro, and he famously said something that now I totally adhere to him. And he said, the other thing about when you do this process, now this is gonna live in my house. So now I own this object to celebrate the time that we spent on the film Wakener. So make sure you check out Wakener, and when you watch it now, if you've never seen the film, go back, and now that you know how James did this, it's pretty amazing. And to think that it's animated digitally but not made digitally is pretty spectacular, and I feel really lucky that we had him work on this. Well, as always, I hope you found this video useful. I'll be rewatching this one myself. I'm gonna kick it to the avatar, subscribe, check out the merch. Remember, I'm just here to help make sci-fi.
Hey, I'm just the avatar, but you might want to check out this video, maybe that video. For sure, subscribe if you haven't, and check out the merch. Buy some merch, that really helps. But hey, what do I know? I'm just the avatar.